Hey everyone, welcome to Health Science 1. Today we're going to be talking about Standard 1, which is Understand Structural Organization of the Body and Roles of the First Responder. We're also going to be talking about Objective 1.01 specifically today, which is Understanding Types of Body Tissues. So the first thing I want you to take note of is our I can statement for today. So today, I can identify types of body tissues in order to discuss the organizational structure of the body and its systems. Basically, this just means that by the end of this lesson today, you should be able to tell me about the different types of body tissues, be able to identify them, and then be able to put that relationship together about why there are different types of body tissues and how they work together to create organizational structure in the body. I'm going to move my little camera guy over because he's blocking the screen. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is organization of the human body and its tissues. Tissues are composed of cells grouped by size, shape, and function. As you can see, there are 4 different types of tissue: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. And they all have different functions. The epithelial tissue is your skin and covers the outside of the body, lines the inside of the body, and then you have a membrane, which is 2 thin layers of tissue that form together, and the cells may secrete a fluid. So there you have a picture of the epithelial tissue, and then on here I'm going to show you on the model the epithelial tissue is this thin layer that grows across the top of the skin, okay? If you look at it from the front, it's this tan part, and from here you can see the thin layer. Next, we're going to talk about connective tissue. Connective tissue is your adipose tissue. It supports and connects organs and tissues. So your connective tissue is very dense and very thick. And your adipose is what stores your fat cells. So if you ever hear the word adipose, you should automatically associate that with fat. Then you have your cartilage, which is a firm, flexible type of tissue that supports the embryonic skeleton and also part of your adult skeleton. Embryonic just meaning when you're a fetus. Then you also have your tendons. Your tendons are those white bands of connective tissue that attach the skeletal muscle to the bone. So I'm going to show you right here. These are some muscles off the back of the leg. This white part, these are your tendons, and this is what would connect this muscle to the skeleton of your lower leg, okay? Then you have your ligaments. Your ligaments are strong, flexible bands of connective tissue that hold your bones firmly together at the joints. So for example, here we have our skeleton back here, and then from here to here, you would have a ligament that connects your humerus to your your humerus to your clavicle. It's been all summer, guys. We all have to get back in the routine of things. But you would have a ligament here. And then down here, you would have ligaments that connect all of your forearm bones together. So ligaments connect bone to bone, while your tendons connect muscle to bone. Next, we have your muscle tissue. Muscle tissue contracts and moves as part of the body, and it helps create that movement in your body. So you also have 3 different types of muscle tissue. You have your cardiac muscle tissue, your skeletal muscle tissue, and your smooth muscle tissue. Cardiac muscle tissue is the muscle around the heart. It is striated, meaning that it has stripes. It's involuntary, meaning that it doesn't have to be told by the brain to do its thing, right? Your heart constantly pumps. It doesn't have to be told to pump. You're not constantly thinking, I hope my heart is working. Okay, so that cardiac tissue just contracts on its own, and it's what helps contract the heart. Remember that the word cardi means heart, so cardiac relates to the heart. Then you have your skeletal muscle tissue, and the skeletal muscle tissue are what you typically think of as muscles in the body that connect to your skeleton. So they are what help us to move and function. They are also striated, meaning that they have stripes, except your skeletal muscle is voluntary. So if I'm standing here and I want to raise my arm in the air, I have to physically think my brain has to send a signal to that skeletal muscle that says you're going to contract in order to raise her arm in the air. So it's voluntary because it has to happen because of our brain signal. And then it is attached to the skeleton, as we've already discussed. Then you have your smooth muscle tissue. Now, smooth muscle tissue is not striated or non-striated, meaning it does not have stripes in it. It is involuntary, meaning that it again works on its own. We do not have to tell it to do so. And it provides movements to various body systems or organ systems. So think about your digestive system. When you swallow, after you swallow, there's a bunch of muscles in here that are telling your different organs to contract and push food through your digestive system. But we're not constantly having to think about that. It just does it on its own. So your smooth muscle typically is within your different organs in the body. Next, we have your nervous tissue. Nervous tissue reacts to stimulation. Oh, did I skip a page? No? Okay, good. I just want to make sure. Nervous tissue reacts to stimulation and conducts an impulse. So your nervous tissue is all of the tissue surrounding the brain, as well as the tissue surrounding your spinal cord. And then it extends throughout the body to all of those different branches of the nerve fibers. So the specific thing you need to know about nervous tissue is it is constantly reacting to the environment around us and conducting an impulse in order to make things happen. So now we're going to talk about all the different organ systems in the body. First, you have your skeletal system. Your skeletal system is important because it provides support, protection, and movement. And it is made up of your skull, your ribs, your pelvis, your humerus, your femur, all of the different bones in the body. So everything on the skeleton here and everything in that image is part of a skeletal system. Every bone in your body is part of the skeletal system. Next, we have your muscular system. And your muscular system is what provides support and protection, as well as movement and heat. So specifically, your muscles are important for helping us move. Here we have a new mannequin. If anybody's ever had class with me before, you have never seen this. We just got him this summer. But he is a muscle man. So he is actually all the different muscles in the body, and we can take them apart, and we can dissect them and pull them apart and put them back together so that you can learn all the muscles. So your muscular system also includes not only all the muscles in your body, but also your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is that thing located right below your lungs that collapses, contracts, and relaxes in order to help you breathe. So your diaphragm is part of your muscular system as well as all the other muscles in the body. Next, we have your circulatory system. Now, your circulatory system is the system that controls your heart, as well as your blood, the arteries, the veins, and any movement and transportation of blood throughout the body. Your circulatory system not only pumps blood, but within blood, we have oxygen. So by circulating that blood throughout the body, we also have oxygen. Next, we have the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is what stimulates your immune response. So think of it as your immunity or your immune system, if you would like to. And it helps produce lymphocytes. There are several different organs that are involved in the lymphatic system, more than what are just listed on the screen right here, but some of them do include your spleen, your tonsils, and your thymus gland. Next, we have your respiratory system. And your respiratory system is what allows for that exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So we breathe in oxygen, we let out carbon dioxide. Again, there are lots of organs involved in this system, but the most common ones are your lungs, your diaphragm, those alveoli, which are the little grape-looking structures on the screen there, the larynx and the pharynx. So over here, I'm going to bring this dude up closer. Right here, we have our lungs, okay? So your lungs are a big part of your respiratory system. And then right underneath your lungs is where that diaphragm would sit, and it contracts and relaxes to let your lungs expand and let in air. Okay? Next, we would have your digestive system. Your digestive system is what is responsible for digesting food and absorbing nutrients. There's lots of organs, again, involved, more than just what's listed on the screen, but we're going to break down each of these organ systems throughout the whole course of this semester. But some of the more common ones are your esophagus, your stomach, your liver, your large intestine, and your small intestine. So I guess I should have left this guy over here. Sorry. So basically, everything from here down is a part of that digestive system. We have the small intestine, the large intestine, and we're going to be talking about how each of those work together in order to digest our food. Okay? Next, you have your integumentary system. An integumentary system is just a fancy way for saying your skin. So here we have our skin model from earlier. Your integumentary system is important because it protects and regulates your body temperature. It protects your entire body by covering all those muscles and skeleton with a protective layer. And then it keeps in water and lets out water in order to regulate body temperature. And it also helps provide sensation because we have nerve cells and nerve fibers all throughout our skin that sense things from our environment. So of course, your integumentary system involves your skin as well as your hair and your sweat glands. Okay, so here we have our little hair, we have the different layers of the skin. Your nervous system is responsible for processing information. Our nervous system is what controls pretty much every single thing that we do. Without our brains, we would just be lying there in a coma. So your nervous system's main organs are the brain, as well as the spinal cord. And this semester, I forgot to mention just some things to look forward to. We will be dissecting sheep and pig hearts, sheep brains, and cow eyes, and maybe some other stuff if I can get my hands on them. But it's really important to get to look at these hands-on in real life. Next, we have the sensory system. So your sensory system ties in very closely to your nervous system, but your sensory system provides the sense of sensation. Think about your 5 senses. You have your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, and your skin because we are able to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Then you have your urinary system. Your urinary system allows for the elimination of urine and other waste products from the body. So there on the side, we can see the image of the 2 kidneys with the ureters coming down to the bladder. So the main organs there are your kidneys and your bladder. Next, we have your endocrine system. Your endocrine system controls your body functions. It controls a lot of your hormone regulation. There may not be that many endocrine organs within the body, but there are tons and tons of hormones that are released by each of these organs that are super important for the regulation of all of our body processes. Some of the most common organs that we'll be talking about are the pancreas and the thyroid gland. And then lastly, we have our reproductive system. And our reproductive system controls the reproductive process. So of course, we have a reproductive system for both females and males. There are a few things that do overlap, but for the most part, they're very separate, so we will talk about each of them separately. In the females, you have a uterus, you have ovaries, you have a vagina, but in the males, you have testes and a penis. So we will have to talk about each of these separately, but together they make up the reproductive system. That is everything for today's PowerPoint. Go ahead and pause and take notes as you need to, and then you're going to move on and complete the rest of your assignments for today. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or text me, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Have a great day.